Today we'll be looking at Virasana, otherwise known as the hero pose. Now, hero pose creates a lot of issues for many people, whether it be for the foot, the knee, the hip, or a combination of two, or indeed all three factors. So at the very least, I'll be grabbing a towel or a cover and also a brick. We'll start off warming our feet up in Vajrasana. Now, as per normal, if you have got any issues with the kind of neck of the ankle, I'd be advising you to grab a cover, and a part of the cover edge will be made into a kind of roll. And with that roll, you put it under the neck of the ankle. And then the discomfort is eased. The more the discomfort, the more thick your roll's going to be. Obviously, the less painful, then the less thick your roll has to be. Obviously, this is not obligatory for those of you that don't have a problem. Just simply sit in Vajrasana. And indeed, for those of you who don't have a problem, grab a belt and tie that belt round your ankles so your ankles are staying together. We don't want them splaying out, as so often happens. And when the ankles come together, there's a squeezing action also of the thighs and the knees. So then suck in those feet into the hips, and with that sucking in action, you will feel that you've got more of an 80-degree angle between thigh and torso. And then, of course, same old, solar plexus, where is it going? Keep squeezing the thighs. Now we can add just a little bit of a shoulder stretch, so interlink the fingers behind you, and as you exhale, you can start to straighten your arms. Just bring your hands diagonally towards the ground for now. Lower abdomen in. And then if you want, you can start to raise your hands just a little bit. Don't lose the squeezing action of the thighs. Breathing, and feel the scapula, the shoulder blades coming ever closer together. Observe your breathing. Come down with your hands, change the cross of your fingers, and then repeat. So first of all, diagonally going down to the ground with your hands. Feel that slight difference in the shoulders with the change of the cross of fingers. And then on your next exhalation, you can start to raise your arms as much or as little as you can, as you want. Keep on attending to the base of your torso, i.e. the thighs, the knees, the ankles, all of which support the hips, the pelvis. And then just coming down like so. Now, if at any point you need to come out and just stretch your legs, then I recommend just coming onto all fours like so, and then stretching one leg back slowly, in some cases gingerly, and then the other side. And when you do it as well, just be aware of the balance that you're wanting to create. You see a lot of this going on. Just try and be attentive to the balance, lower abdomen in, and then you can come back in to Vajrasana. And now we're going to augment the stretch in our feet just a little bit. So we're going to put our fingertips just slightly in front and lean forward a little bit. And then on the next exhalation, pushing the ground with our fingertips, we're going to lift the knees off just a little bit like so. So you can see that my back is slightly rounded. That's absolutely fine. I've got to press the tops of my feet into the ground. And then if this is okay, you can actually walk a little bit closer with your hands. And again, try and lean the tops of your feet into the ground. And of course, come out at any time. And then when you come out, you can just return back into Vajrasana. And note how much easier the feet feel in this Vajrasana. They've already been incredibly released by this extra stretch of the foot. Every inhalation reaches not only your pelvic floor, but extends into your legs right down to your feet. Okay, and then let's try this again. So pressing the ground away with the fingers, we can move the knees up, walk our fingers slightly towards our body. And release the feet through the breathing. And then you can just come down. We come back into Vajrasana. And then you can just stretch your feet out and your legs out. So, together with the feet factor, Virasana demands a certain amount of stretch across the thigh and across the knee, and indeed across the tibia. So we're going to get that going in an exercise. Now you'll need to get to a wall, and we're going to be at the side, like so, with our fingertips just gently placed on the wall. And then we're simply going to lift one foot off the ground, keeping both knees down on the ground, and we're going to pull the heel in towards the bottom like so. Now, the most important thing about all of this is less about the heel touching the bottom than that lower abdomen as per normal coming in. A lot of us tend to poke our bottoms out like this as we do this. The whole point is to get the stretch into the thigh, and to that end, you need a massive retroversion. It also kind of hurts the knee, so make sure you've got a cover or you've doubled up the mat when you do it. Just try that same side again. So both knees on the ground. If you need the wall as a support for the balance, then leave your fingers on the wall. Otherwise, you can actually put both hands on the foot, keep that retroversion going, pubic bone coming up towards the chin, and from there you start to move that heel towards your bottom. There's quite a lot of work actually for the shoulders as well. You can kind of transform this into some nice shoulder opening work as well. So get those elbows going back. A lot of work for the hands as well. Okay, and then when you come out, don't just drop your foot, just gently bring it down. And then we'll do the other side. So just feel the balance, firstly with the fingertips on the wall, and then if you want, you can bring both hands onto the foot. Now remember, you install that retroversion, pubic bone going up. Indeed, the whole front part of the body moving up towards the ceiling. And then we move the heel towards the bottom. And then if that's going well, you can start to incorporate the elbows and bring the elbows back, moving the scapula towards one another and really opening up the chest. Now, this may look easy, it's not remotely. If you find that your foot is there, then that's absolutely fine, just breathe. But the priority will always remain the retroversion. We don't want to do the retroversion because by doing it, it puts more stretch into the thigh and it's quite painful, but we want the thigh to work. We don't want any of the stretch to come towards the back. Okay, and then you can just have a break sitting back down in Virasana. So this is another exercise for getting that stretch along the thigh and the knee. It is quite strong, so just be very, very aware and don't overdo things. We're going to have our right foot coming out like so. And I'm against the wall as well, so maybe just initially take care of the balance by supporting yourself. From there, we're going to lift up that back leg. Make sure you support your knees. So lifting that back leg like so. So from there, we're going to swap hands. So my left hand is currently on my left foot. I'm going to bring my right hand onto my left foot. Yeah, so I've got to use my front foot to maintain a certain amount of the balance and my lower abdomen. I'm going to bring the left hand down onto the ground. Maybe walk out both my right foot a little bit and my left hand. The left hand comes down flat on the ground. And then from there, the right hand, which is still catching hold of the left foot, comes around to the outer side of the left foot. Walk out maybe a little bit more with my right foot. And then from there, I want to bring my right knee out to the side. So that means I lift up essentially the inner part of my right foot. So I'm on the external part of my right foot. Now from there, I'm going to start to rotate my body towards the right and also start to bring that heel towards my bottom. So again, we return back to this strong stretch of the thigh and the knee. Okay, the right elbow comes back to bring that right shoulder back because we want, again, the lower abdomen in and the solar plexus moving towards the head. And don't hold your breath in this. And then you can just come back. Sit for a moment in Virasana. And then we'll do the other side. So now it's the left foot that's in front. We're going to catch the right foot with our left hand, with our right hand, sorry. And then we're going to exchange hands. So put the left hand on the right foot, bringing the left hand to the external part of the right foot. Bring your right hand down to the ground, and then from there you can start to move both your right hand and your left foot forward. Now this is very dependent as well on how long you are. I'm very, very long, so I need a lot of space. If you're not very long, you might not even need to do this. And then you're going to bring your hips forward as your right heel moves towards the bottom, and you can rotate any amount. Rotate, rotate, rotate towards the left with your torso, as well as opening out the left knee. So you're on the external part of your left foot, left knee is opening out, and you're nice and broad with your chest. The left elbow is moving back behind you, and that's allowing you to open your chest even more. And then you can just move back Virasana. And have a break there. It's Virasana time, so grab a cover if you've got issues with your feet, as explained before. If there are any issues with your knee, like me, get a pair of socks handy and open up the socks and maybe fold the socks 1 or 2 times like so. Even if the problem is just one knee, I'd do both, to make sure that both knees in the position are even and doing exactly the same thing. And the other thing, of course, is that often we need some kind of support. So I'd be grabbing at least a brick or a bolster, or maybe a combination. Let's go. So Virasana, to enter in, I recommend having your knees open like so, and your toes, and here I'll turn to the side, your toes should be pointing towards one another, okay? So they shouldn't be, the feet should not be parallel. In actual fact, the toes should be pointing towards one another so we can get an external stretch of the ankle. So we start off like this. Now, at this point, if you've got issues with your knees, that's where I'd be shoving in the socks. And then if you can't put your bottom in between your ankles, because that's what the point of Virasana is, then you grab some kind of brick or bolster, make it as high or as low as you need to, and sit down. That's the first step, because then the last step, or one of the last steps, would be moving your knees together like so. And then getting comfortable, shall we say, in the position. Now, if this is absolute agony, then you're going to have to bring more support under your bottom. If your knees are an issue, you get out immediately, work out what the problem is. Knee pain is not to be tolerated. As for the feet, often people complain about the feet, so go back to getting a cover and supporting the neck of the ankle. Now, another issue regarding knees is the sensation of tightness on the front. So just lift the skin of one knee and then lift the skin of the other, and you should already feel that it's better. And then the final thing, and to that end, I'm going to turn on my side, like so. So the final thing in Virasana, when I'm set up, is that a lot of us do a retroversion like this. So you can see that this retroversion, the wheel is coming back and it's actually humping my back. So what I need to do is the opposite. The wheel needs to come forward. This is the anterior pelvic tilt motion. So it's the movement itself. And you can see the difference in my back already. And we need to try and get back to this kind of 80-degree angle between the front of the thighs and the body itself. And then we release the weight down into the bottom, but not just the bottom. The weight needs to move into the feet, into the ankles, the tibia, the knees. Now again, as before, if this really, really is hard to stay in, you just come out when you have to, but you come out safely. So you bring your hands forward, your fingertips onto the ground, you lift, and then you can come and just stretch one leg out, and then the other leg. And I do that a few times just to relieve the sensation of extreme bending in the legs. And then when you re-enter into Virasana, I would still re-enter in the same manner that we started with, i.e. the knees separate to begin with, so you can also get your ankles as wide as possible. Remember, the idea is for your bottom to be between the heels. So you've got to make sure that the feet are as wide as you can get them. And then you can start to bring your knees together. remember any kind of tightness in the knees, you can lift the skin of the knees. And then feel that anteversion, which is helping us to sit up straight, but without fatigue. And I repeat, if you've really got knee issues, you're not using socks in the crook of your knee, then maybe try that. If that doesn't work, then I wouldn't do this position. I'd sit back in Virasana, and then at your next yoga lesson live with someone, maybe speak after the class and get an assessment there as to why you might be having problems. And then we can go back to interlacing our fingers behind the back, and again just stretching. Feeling the chest just expand. Allowing yourself to breathe deeply. And remember that the arms don't drag that chest back, because as soon as that happens, you'll lose the anteversion of the pelvis. Come down with the hands, change the clasp, and then repeat. And then you can just come down, spend a moment, come out, stretch your legs. Stretch slowly each leg at a time. And then when you want, just move your props out the way, because we're just going to come in to an Uttanasana. So when you're ready, you can even just bring your knees towards your chest. I wouldn't straighten your legs immediately. You've just spent the last 5 minutes bending quite strongly your legs, so give them a chance. Feel the triangle of both feet really pressing into the ground to solicit a response from the hips. And then as those legs become absorbed into the hips, the legs also start to straighten. And this should feel quite a relief after the strong bending that we've done in Virasana. If you want to embrace your knees, your thighs, or your calves, or even your ankles, then please do so. And the head remains heavy. And then bending your legs, you can just come down and we'll do Virasana one more time. So get what you need. And feel that with each successive Virasana we do, that things do get a little bit easier, the joints get a little bit more oiled, there's less resistance. Now you might find the more you do this as well, the less support you need under the bottom, in which case just take away the support. Remember, you start out with your knees particularly wide so that your ankles are particularly wide so your bottom can slide in between. And then from there you bring your knees together, you squeeze the thighs together. So in that respect it's very similar to Virasana, providing a base for the torso. And this time we'll incorporate some movement with the shoulders. So we're going to have our arms in a kind of cactus position, so 90-degree bend between the forearm and the upper arm. And the chest will be moving forward and up the whole time. As we bring that 90-degree bend further and further back. But again, be careful with this. A lot of people just use the arms, bring the arms back, and then the whole of the torso just gets dragged back. We don't want that. The more you drag those arms back, you've got to resist and remain in the same position with your chest. So essentially that means moving forward with your chest as your arms move back in order to stay in the same place. And breathe. This is very, very strong on the arms and on the shoulders. And then you can bring your arms down. Remember that just because your arms come down doesn't mean you collapse your torso. Your torso remains neutral, untouchable. Okay, and we remove our props again. And come back in to another gentle Uttanasana. Keeping your legs initially bent at the start. As before, you might want to hug your thighs or your knees. Feel the absence of intense bending in the legs. It's almost strange, this sensation. And then we can start to move those legs slowly but surely into the hips. So you might want to arrive at completely straight legs. You might not want to. It's your call. And then you can just come and quietly sit back down in Virasana. And as we're here, and as you have got equipment somewhere, you could maybe have something for the head and just move softly into Virasana 2. You can have your hands at the side, with your palms pointing up towards the ceiling, or whatever you want. Fingertips on the floor. Use that solar plexus to move forward. So it's not the head that brings you up, it's the solar plexus. And remember, it's not just the hands supporting you as you come up, it's that lower abdomen that gently sucks in, just to make sure that that lower spine and lower back is not compromised in any way. So for the final moments of relaxation, you could grab a bolster or a cushion and we'll lie down and put that bolster under the knees. After all, they've really intensely bent, and also for some of us, they've really intensely stretched today. So let's give them a nice support, like so, as we just come down. And we come down with some precision. So the feet are in line with the hips. And we try and be as straight as we can. So you can use your mat as a point of reference. Because if you lie down in a kind of squint manner, then you disturb yourself, yeah? So it's important to pay attention to these details. Palms of the hands go up to the ceiling. And then just let it go.